Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw Tips and Tricks. This is part 3. And if you didn't watch parts 1 and 2, you might want to back up and watch them under the same name. I cut this out of 1/8 inch alder. This thing is tiny. It's only less than 2 inches wide and a little bit more than 1.5 inches tall. I mean, we're talking a little bitty, and it's got a lot of cuts. So this was a test cut to see what it would look like. And the person I was actually helping at first was cutting it out of some sort of vellum for a stencil. And I actually think it would work better than the wood because it's going to take less time. I did get a few burns, like the toes. Let me look at it in person. They look pretty good, but they're not really separated. The part of the nose right there is kind of burned through, or the trunk, I guess, and that could be cleaned up also anyway. And then right up in here, the space between, the picture is terrible, but the picture between the tusks. So in the other video, we increased the size of the bigger parts, but we didn't really increase the size of the smaller, or decrease the size of the smaller part. And so looking at this closer now, I would actually take the smoothing tool first and make it kind of a little tool. That's too little. And let's smooth out some of these parts. So when you click on it, because when you get a rounder surface, your laser is going to cut a little better anyway. But then like on this piece, we could actually just bring it in and make it smaller and then kind of put it back to the center. That's going to give us some more room. You know, the part around the trunk, same thing. We just need to kind of separate these just a little bit. And these are just my suggestions, but that way you've got a lot more room. And you could actually, you know, I don't think we decrease this any. We could decrease that a little bit because this thing is ultra fragile. But if she's cutting out of some sort of, and these are really close together, they actually are they're separated, but you could make them just a little bit smaller. I mean, it won't take much, and you can just reduce them in size, and quite possibly the next one, I might even try it again after I do this. So that, and then the toenails of the giraffe kind of burn together, and they're not very good anyway. So I'm going to take the smoothing tool on them. You have to click on your item when you see the nodes, and that alone will probably help. But once you got one, you know, somewhat shapely, you could actually just move it over, just kind of separate these two toenails. And then quite honestly, you could take that one, hit your plus key on your keyboard, and then you could delete these two and maybe rotate this one at an angle and kind of use the same, you know, shape all throughout and get them, you know, a little further apart, and just do that for all four. Now, the only other thing I noticed that this tail is real fragile, but since she's using it for a stencil, you know, that might move if you're going to like paint it. It might help actually to maybe join this tail. Might be a little bit harder than you would think. Well, let's grab. Tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to grab the outside first and just bring that tail in just ever so slightly. We just want them touching. And then you could actually do this. And then take your virtual segment delete key and delete through there, making that all one piece. Now our inside's messed up, but you could grab it with your shape tool, and it must be a curve. So we're going to click on it, go up to Object, Group, and Ungroup All. See if that did it, and it did. Then we just grab those nodes and just bring them over. You could actually probably delete some nodes. You've got to have some, you know, the interior parts of something like this, don't really matter because it's not going to be any differently. We could do that and bring this handle down because so being an interior part, it doesn't really matter how thin it is. It's the wall thickness between the other two parts that is your crucial. I'm going to try to delete that, maybe even delete that one. And the more you have some sort of curve to it, I think it's going to look better anyway. Anyway, everything else I think looks pretty good. I think it's kind of nice. If it wasn't so fragile, it'd make a nice earring type deal. But that tail should help quite a bit. And then the only other suggestion I would think of, to take your Smart Fill tool and fill that in. And then you can kind of see your thickness, but also then when you left click, right click and make sure it's in a hairline, that would be your new cutting elephant, because it's going to join all those nodes together. Anyway, I hope that helped them a little bit. Thank you for watching.